Hello, welcome and thanks for joining us for this webinar with 9, enabling you to meet the DfE's digital and technology standards. I'm not going to hang around talking. It's not about me. I'm going to introduce you straight away to Mark Orkison, the founder and CEO of 9, who's going to be taking the lead in this webinar. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rick, and thanks for everyone else who's joining this session today. I'm here with my colleague Marcus O'Brien. Marcus is a principal consultant here at 9, and also I have a number of other colleagues, including Charlie, and Charlie's our business development manager for academy schools, single site schools within the UK, and Charlie will be at a conference for multi-academy trusts in the next week or so. So she may be reaching out to you. There's Charlie, and Charlie will be putting in her details within the chat if you have any questions about what we do and specifically what we're going to show you today. If you're not familiar with 9, we are a business of almost 100 people. We've been going since 2009, so quite some time. And we provide services to schools around technology, cybersecurity, and data protection. We have consultancy offering, and then also we also have a piece of software that allows you to manage those things. And what we're going to do today is take you through the toolkit that we've developed for the DfE digital standards and how you can be using that to demonstrate compliance. As we go through this, if you have any questions, then please do pop them into the Q&A. We'll be keeping an eye on those and answering them as we go. And the topics for what we're going to be covering are how the standards will impact your school, the overview of the compliance toolkit, looking at the gaps, forging a plan to close the gaps, and also we'll then present some offers at the end. Within the Q&A now, there should be a link to this hyperlink here, which allows you to register for the toolkit that we're going to be showing you. So it's a free toolkit, and the team are on hand now to give you access to it. So if you register now, hopefully one of the team is putting that link in the Q&A boxes. If you don't get to see the link or can't find it, you'll also see it here on the bottom of every page, or you can just go to the 9 website and you can go to contact us and just say that you want the DfE digital standards toolkit, and that will be provided is a freemium product from 9, so you can get started and you can essentially start doing what Marcus will be showing, what he did and what we've done together in terms of evaluating compliance against the standards and then managing to close those specific gaps. Now, in terms of sort of where I see in my mind where the DfE are coming with, and then I know I'm talking about academies here, and many of you won't necessarily be in academies. Some of you may be in independent schools, or you may be in local authority schools. But when we look at actually the sort of the political context of what is happening with the DfE, and when it comes to forcing schools and moving schools or advancing schools through a number of different areas, you can see there's a framework that's been developing over the past 5 or 6 years that really has gone from creating guidance to what schools should be doing to more definition of standards. And you can see that within the Academy Trust Handbook, you can see that within the governance handbook, and also you can see that within the risk guidance for academies. Now, again, not specifically relevant for all other schools, but certainly even our independent schools within the UK, they are seeking to use the standards as one way of benchmarking where they currently are, but also one way of demonstrating back to governors in terms of the investment that may be required to improve them and to get them into a common set of quality standards that all schools are sort of being influenced to achieve. And what you have here in this slide here is just one of the statements that's in the Academy Trust Handbook around academy trusts must also be aware of the risk of cyber crime, putting in place proportionate controls. And I see the DfE digital standards as one of those mechanisms that will be referenced as a proportionate control. So schools that have cyber attacks in the future, a question that could come from a regional schools commissioner in the context of an academy is, okay, where were you on or against the digital standards? And likewise, they then reference that within the Academy Trust Handbook. They reference the meeting digital and technology standards in schools and colleges as as almost a signpost to actually that's what you should be seeking to achieve. And in here, another document which is internal scrutiny for Academy trusts. So around audit and risk, again referencing the governance and oversight for IT systems and cybersecurity, again linking back to the DfE digital standards. So very much from that political context is being presented that these are targets in a sense that actually you should be seeking to meet. And you can see as the policy and regulation around academy trusts develops, that actually, the next evolution of this is going to be actually the audit against how schools do this. That's essentially my opinion, rather than anything that I see. But you can see the trajectory over the past few years of policy change and then standards, and essentially that's that last bullet point there that we've got. So again, hopefully, if you've submitted your request, the team will be working in the background to get you access to the toolkit. And essentially, what we're going to do now is Marcus is going to share his screen, and we're going to take you through what the toolkit is, how it works, how you can evaluate your score, how it can be used. Now, as I said, like as a business, we have a consultancy division, but also we have a piece of software that we've been developing over the past 4 years. And the software that we've been developing, one component is around data protection. So you can manage your GDPR. One component is around vendor management. So we have evaluated against privacy, cybersecurity and safeguarding standards, EdTech vendors. And we have identified where within their contracts they are compliant with the certain regulations that they need to meet. And the third component is called 9Governance. And 9Governance is a project management and governance tool that allows you as a school to manage anything that's a framework. So you can evaluate yourself against keeping children safe in education. You can manage the risks associated with keeping children safe in education. Likewise, if you are a independent school, you can evaluate yourself against the ISI inspection standards. As a multi-academy trust, you can evaluate and manage your compliance with the Academy Trust Handbook. And then this is the framework for the DfE digital standards. So we can create frameworks, we can create toolkits that then you can take and operationalize within your school. And that essentially is what the DfE toolkit is, and which what we'll go through now. So Marcus, I mean, the way that we develop this is you are a network manager in the school, and you have gone through and used this toolkit to evaluate based upon a number of real life scenarios. So one of our services is called Security and Systems Essentials. Essentially, it's an IT audit, and it's a 1,000 point check. So we do this 1,000 point check against a number of different standards. We also do it against the DfE digital standards, but ISO 27001, Cyber Essentials. We have cross-referenced all those different frameworks based upon our audit, and then the context behind what has been found has then been plugged into provide us as a demo. So Marcus, just take us through this first of all, the structure of the toolkit. So what is it, and what are you showing here?
Sure. So this is the overall toolkit for the DfE digital standards, and each of the top level requirements you'd see it on the DfE website. There's a set of requirements for each of the different categories, and we've broken down the categories here into individual projects. Now, I've gone through and I've added some tasks and things that I need to get done because my school doesn't have them at the moment, but I've also got things that the school already does have. So what I've done initially is gone through each of the requirements at a high level, looked at the risks that are presented to me, and these are risks that are already in the toolkit for you to be able to see. And if you notice here, it starts at 3, because I've determined at my school, I've already completed number 1 and 2. I already have those, so I've closed those, but I've added a note, say what we have. So I would recommend, if you were going to go through this, that you evaluate each of the risks in each of the categories first to see what you already do have, because then you can create a plan for what you need to, how you need to close the gaps.
Sorry, Marcus. So on this, if you can just go back to, so let's say here. So no, go back into that one. Perfect. Yep. So you have here that you have the category of the standards, and then each of these are each of the requirements.
Individual requirements in those categories.
So perfect. So if you open up number 3 there in terms of the requirement, that is the description. But if you actually open up the requirement itself, perfect. So within our software, it allows, there's quite a lot of functionality here. You've got the details of the requirement. Marcus has allocated himself as the owner of that specific requirement, but if you are a wider team, you can actually divvy out the requirements to individual people,
as members,
as members. And then you have across the top, you have the checklist of if there is a checklist associated with that requirement.
There is. So these are the individual, all of the individual technical requirements to meet the standards, and you'll notice there's lots. This one I haven't completed, but I have done a couple of the requirements. So these are the steps you can take. If you meet all of the requirements in this checklist, you meet the overall requirement.
Perfect. So essentially, you've got the requirement, you've got the checklist, which allows you to go through and evidence which ones you've done and you haven't done. What else does this feature do?
So in terms of all the headings that we've got, so you can add controls. And this is just a rich text field. Anything that you want to add as how you're going to manage this, you can add here. KPIs for risks. If you determine that it needs to be completed in a certain time, or you need someone to report to, you can add to here. Root cause, you can also add that. So in terms of, if I don't meet this requirement, why do I not meet this requirement? Add that here. You can add it as a checklist and tick that off as you go. One of the things that I find most important about these ones is the note functionality. So, for example, for this one, let's just go back to the beginning. Accounts should only have the access they require to perform their role and should be authenticated to access data and services. The notes I've added on here. So in my school, all the IT technicians have admin access to all the IT systems. And that doesn't meet this requirement. So I've added a note after looking at the checklist. All IT accounts are domain admins. We should change this and have 2 accounts, 1 privileged account and 1 daily account. So that is then what I need to do to start meeting this requirement.
And that's a narrative that is describing the history in terms of how you've evaluated that. You also see at the bottom there are references. So those are the references that are within the online toolkit that we've also included within this. So you can click on it and it will link you to those relevant toolkits. And also you've got attachments, so you can actually upload evidence or documents should you need to around those specific components. So we've got the structure in terms of breaking down by the topic areas. Then you've got the requirements, and you've got the checklist that you can go through, so you can evaluate where you are. You can identify what you've completed, and then also what is outstanding. Where did you started with just quickly going through them all and evidencing which ones you've done or the score meets. But what did you then do next?
So after that, I determined, I looked through all of the top level ones and determined which is most important to me as for my school. And I've given them a rating, and you can do that on each individual top level project, giving them a priority here. And I've determined cybersecurity is always going to be a big one. I've determined that as the most critical one. So that's the one I'm going to concentrate on first. And then within there, I've also created some tasks for myself. So tasks, there are no tasks within the toolkit as it comes. But for each of these risks, I've determined that there's some tasks that I need to do in order to meet those. And that matches up with the notes I put on the risk. So for this top level one, for the access permissions one, the task is I need to review the IT team access permissions. And if I go in here, I haven't created myself a checklist for this one, but I have linked this task to another task, review the logins and permissions for all switches, which is part of the networking requirement to look at how we log in and access the switches. And it will be a part of many requirements. So I've linked those two tasks because if I complete one, it's likely that I've then completed the other.
Mm-hmm. So through assessing where you currently are and then identifying the gaps, the software allows you to build tasks to identify the work that needs to get done. Within that task, I'm guessing you can allocate it to someone.
You can, allocate it. And I've put some scheduling in this. So I've determined that I'm going to start it in February and it needs to be finished by end of April.
Okay.
And then, but also in tasks, as something you don't have in the risks, you can have this scheduling tab of when you want to start and finish. But you can also manage people's time, how long you expect it to take. So you can add your estimated time here. And then any members of that task can also log their time on what they've done and how long they've spent on it and when. So you can then use it as a project management tool to provide effective reporting on who's doing what and at what time.
But also, I think that's quite important because if you've done the exercise that you will have done and gone through all of the things that need to get completed, you then worked out the tasks and then estimated the time. That gives you a total amount of resource time that someone within the school needs to do in order to meet the standards. So just doing that exercise allows you to have quite a granular conversation with leadership about where you are, what's missing, but also how much time it's likely to take. And I can see you've also got tabs there for costs. So I'm guessing if there are other costs associated with it, and also notes in terms of creating a narrative, again, about the history of what's been going on with that task.
Yeah. So for example, in regards to this cost one, if I was looking at the network switching requirements and I needed to buy some new switches, I would determine how much it's going to cost by contacting suppliers, log it here, but then also add the invoices as attachments.
Or the quotes.
Yes.
Yeah, or both. So was it anything else that you found in doing this exercise for your school?
Yeah, so when I started adding dates to all the tasks and the projects in general, I found that, just go back to there, it's the wrong button, apologies. I found that you can also create a project timeline. So it gives an overall view of when you expect to have things done. So in the Gantt chart here on the left, if I choose just the DfE digital standards, apply that, and then anything that I've put a date against, I can see, let's choose, because I've put mine from January all the way to the end of the year, I can see a number of tasks and when I'm scheduling to complete those. So these are the top level projects. And then if you press the down arrow, there's the tasks that I've added time against or scheduled dates against. And then if I've actually completed any of those or put some time against them, it will come up with a percentage. So my estimated time versus what the log time versus what I estimated it to take. Yeah. So you can see if you've gone over budget or not.
Perfect. So a complete assessment and then analysis of where you are, what needs to get done, and then from a planning perspective, automatically automatically reports upon what you have planned out. In terms of reporting to the SLT, what is the output of? Because there's a lot of stuff in, there's a lot of tasks, a lot of checklists, a lot of things to review. How would you then report to the SLT in terms of where the school is and actually what needs to get done?
So in terms of reporting, we've got a governance dashboard here. and we can drill down into all the projects that we have, or you can go into individual levels of risks, issues, lessons, and tasks. So if I go to risks, that will give us the risks for, I can filter here by that top right corner, the DfE digital standards, and then I can choose between individual projects if I wish, or just keep it at the top level to see all of them. Now, if I look here, I can see I've got a total of 50 risks, and I've closed 12 of them already.
Mm-hmm.
The overdue versus on time is because I've only added dates to 4 risks.
Mm-hmm.
The risks by score, you can see which ones I've allocated as critical, high, medium, low, and very low. You can change all of those yourself. You can also add controls to each of the risks, and it reports on it here. So at the moment, I've got one that I'm tolerating. It's a risk that's still there, but I can't do anything about it because of the way my score works. I've terminated 9, and I'm treating 1 currently. And this updates as you update your risks and tasks.
So on a once you've gone through each of the standards, this will give you an overview of essentially where you are. Then in terms of you can use this to report against it either through PDF snapshots or actually leadership coming in and having conversations around each of them. And then you've got essentially, I can see, Marcus, if you go down a bit, you've got to open risks by the project area, which are the standards categories. And just so for everyone else's benefit, Marcus, if you scroll up just a little bit, you've got risks by control. The tolerating, treating, transferring, and terminating are the language that is required by the DfE when evaluating and managing risks. So the risk management component of our software has been built given consideration for the requirements of what the DfE are asking schools to do, and in this context, we're reporting against the DfE digital standards. And again, the toolkit itself is a freemium based product from us. So if you register via the website, we can get you set up with that today. And then also one of our team can help you get using it if you need to. Marcus, with this, was there anything else that you wanted to show in terms of how it works?
The only thing I wanted to just quickly show was where I've done time estimations and logging time as well.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've added time estimations and log time, then it comes up on here on the overall project page. So you can see at a high level how far you are through that project and each of the individual requirements underneath. So if I added estimated time for every single risk, it would all consolidate and be shown here.
Perfect. And the other thing that I think that is useful just here, and I know you haven't identified any, but the requirements could be issues. There could be issues, immediate things that you need to address. So through going through that, and I saw the toggle with each of the requirements, so you can identify that as a particular risk, and then that would be then reported through as an issue that needs immediate attention, rather than just something that you're dealing with and managing. So again, helps you categorize where you are against the digital standards, have those conversations with leadership, evidence the work that is required, plan it out, and then obviously close those gaps. So there's quite a lot of features to this platform, and specifically around operationalizing the work that needs to get done. You don't obviously need to use all of it if you didn't want to. Just auditing yourself against it and identifying issues and then tasks, maybe all you want to use it for, but actually then taking it to manage manage closing those gaps is really useful, I feel. Okay, cheers to that, Marcus.
No problem.
So going back to my slide deck. So within our software platform, we don't just have the DfE digital standards. We also have a toolkit that allows you to manage your compliance or certification for Cyber Essentials on a DIY basis. And there is a webinar on March 28th at 9 AM that we are running. There should be a link coming to you, if not in the chat or in the Q&A, sorry, that allows you to register for how us taking you on a step-by-step basis in terms of the Cyber Essentials certification. The other things that we wanted to highlight in this webinar are our cyber penetration services, and we have a specific pricing here for multi-academy trusts, but also single sites pricing. And I think you'll find in terms of our service around cyber pen testing, we are very competitive, and I'd say that the service that we provide is significantly better than many other people within the market. And our cybersecurity practice has been running from 2017, so we have a lot of experience in terms of managing cybersecurity, not only for schools but also for ourselves. So every time we do a software release of our software, we do a full cyber pen test, which equates to maybe 50 pen tests a year on our own software. Most edtech providers will barely do one pen test a year. So we are very disciplined in terms of what we do, the granularity and the quality that we provide, and the pricing here we believe is incredibly competitive. And in terms of the output, the output from our pen test is all delivered through our software. So the software that we've created that you can have for free in terms of the DfE digital standards is also the mechanism for you to manage the output of any cyber pen test that we were to do for you. And again, it follows that same framework of identifying the issues that we have found either on the external infrastructure pen test or the internal pen test. That is all recorded within the software, which then allows you to manage that, but also have conversations and report upon the progress against what we have found. And there's a whole range of different examples here. And again, Charlie can provide more information around those specific services. So in terms of the offers, obviously you can get access to the freemium toolkit. You can start playing around with it yourself. One of the team can also jump in and help you get using it with the link that's been provided in Q&A or using this link here. We have the 9 governance app, which obviously we've been showing you is the mechanism for using the toolkit. If you buy that, we also have a service and resources that allow you to demonstrate compliance with the RPA. So if you're an RPA school, there are certain requirements now around the cyber recovery plan that is required to maintain that insurance. So we have the framework to achieve the cyber recovery plan with all the relevant resources, and we're going to be a number of training sessions, virtual training sessions on that to enable you to implement what we provided. And then the cyber security testing for MATs. If you are a single site school and you are interested in our cyber services, then you feel free to get in touch with us, and we will provide you with single site pricing depending on specifically the size of your school and the complexity of your services. With that, we've shown you the demo, talked about a bit more about the things we do. I'm just saying whether there's any questions within chat. So Keith, I was going to go through these questions. So Keith, so we can provide the reports in terms of the dashboards, and so that can be presented to governors, not only around the DfE toolkit, but we have another one called the Schools Risk Framework, which has everything from safeguarding, finance, HR, predetermined risks that typically you as a school would or trust need to manage, and that follows the same principles where we have the framework for predefined risks, predefined mitigating actions, and that also is a dashboard that can be issued to governors. So Paul, you've got your log on. I think you just need to book a meeting with one of the team to show you where how that is working. Great question here from Dave. A product like this stands to gather a lot of confidential and operational data about school or trust. what is your security and confidentiality commitment on this product? Will the data ever be resold? So the answer to the question is the data won't be resold, and we have our own in-house cyber team, and our software is been built from a security by design approach. So you internally within the school, you actually have to, so there'll be an administrator to the account. That could be you, Paul, and then essentially what you then do is that then you give permissions based upon the toolkits that you want people to have access to, and actually you can really, you can really make it as granular as that. People can only see the project areas and they can't see anything else. That layered approach from a user perspective, really, and it's like a layered onion in terms of the overall security of the platform. So anyone coming into the platform, they cannot get anywhere without going through that layered approach. So it is a fundamental security by design approach, and we do have an information security document that explains all of that. In addition to the cyber pen testing that we do every week on our platform. And as I said, that's clearly differentiated versus any other product out there, because most people only do a pen test once a year or twice a year at bests. There's no resale submitted data. Nope, we don't use that. The sales team can't get access to your accounts. That is all managed internally, and we don't get access to, we can't see your data unless you're asking us to help you with a specific product. When the DfE standards are updated, we will update. There will be an updated toolkit that you can get access to. So you can either go for the completely new toolkit, or there'll be like a project folder that has the that has the changes in the standards. So you're only focusing on the changes to the standards that have changed or been updated. Again, that's part of our paid for service rather than the freemium products. If we have more, yes.
Hi. Sorry, Mark. No, it's just I've been responding to a lot of the questions as they've come through, so I just want to let you know.
Oh, fine.
Yeah,
okay,
if you haven't spotted the answers, I have answered a few.
Perfect.
Sorry to cut you off, but one question I haven't answered, which has come through from one of the members, was if we have multiple schools in a trust, do we inform you upon registration of which schools we want to add, manage, or do we add these in ourselves? So just a little question there about how you'd manage multiple schools in the trust model.
Yeah, in a trust model, as multiple schools, what you'd have is you'd have the high level toolkit. So you'd have name of school, DfE toolkit. Next one would be name of school, DfE toolkit, name of school, DfE toolkit. And so each school could have its own toolkit. The schools, you can set the permission so the schools can't see the other toolkits. They can only see their own toolkit, or you can make it that they can see the other toolkits so they can work collaboratively on them. And then you can report individually as a school, individually on the school or across the whole map, depending on what you wanted to do. So yeah, it's from that perspective, when you start using it from a map component, you can really start creating collaboration around the specific projects that come off the back of the assessments, because everything can be mapped out within the platform. And you, as if you're a trust IT director or trust IT network manager, you can see, you can track, and you can manage progress against the work that needs to get done. So because you've got the assessment against the framework, and then you are planning to do the work within the platform, from a management perspective, it gives you that granularity to manage at scale, and also support the collaboration across the different schools if you so wish to.
Thanks, Mark. So a couple of the other unanswered ones. So one from Keith, which was, does your system print out reports, dashboards, so governors can see where a school can be at risk?
So it has the dashboards. At the moment, you can't print it out as a PDF, but that is something that's in the backlog for us to be doing. But the governors, you could provide governor access to the platform, to the reporting, or it's taking a snapshot of that particular platform, of that report. Sorry.
Great. Okay, thank you, Mark. And one that's just come in a couple of minutes ago, which was, how often do you do external pen testing on your systems?
Every week. Yeah. So every week we will every time we do a software release, which is at the moment every week, we do a full pen test. And to give you a full pen test takes two of our cyber team a week to do. So basically they are continuously just retesting our platform now, and then everything. Then essentially the vulnerabilities are categorized as critical, high, medium, and low. And we do that we do a test within our dev environment. So prior to the software's being released, then we do a release, which is basically the version that I've been showing you today, and then we pen test the released version as well, just in case there's any changes. So and I'm happy to discuss or to talk through pen testing in more detail about how you go about doing it, the tools you use, what we find, if that's of interest for another webinar, because I think it is quite an interesting topic.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. I think we covered off the question around the data privacy matter.
Yeah.
We had a couple of questions on that, but I think we've covered that. So I think that has covered off all those questions on there. There was just one thing that I was going to ask actually, Mark, which was earlier today on the ANME forum, I noticed that a thread had started. One of the members has been asked to produce essentially a plan, a forward plan for up to, I think, sort of 3 years or so in advance. And it just sort of occurred, and various colleagues were suggesting different ways to go about it and different considerations. But I suppose one thing that occurred to me was that you could potentially build that plan around the standards. Would that be one approach?
Yeah. So you can build the plan around the standards, and then you could mirror that across Cyber Essentials if that's what you want, if that's where you're also going, and you can do that in a very easy way, depending on what you feel, what your score or what your trust priority is. Is it meeting the standards, or is it there are so many different other frameworks that you can follow? As I said, the Cyber Essentials is a different type of framework, but it maps itself back to the digital standards. And some people, some trusts we speak to go, right, well, we want to meet Cyber Essential certification. You do Cyber Essential certification, and by doing that, you certainly on the Plus version, you will have naturally completed a lot of the work that is of a requirement within the standards. And then you go a step further and go, actually, we want a zero trust architecture, which is another level of granularity on the configuration of your systems that would be deeper than the requirement of probably Cyber Essentials or the DfE standards. So there's a layered approach to it, right? It's like, what is it you're seeking to achieve as a minimum layer? What is it that you really want to achieve? Yeah, and you can use this toolkit to plan that all out, and then you could add in further level of requirements or further level of depth of security protections or whatever else it is within your plan.
Great, thanks, Mark. Another question's actually just come in on the Q&A, which is just around the freemium trial. So will there be a list of which parts or menus in the tool are free for ANME users and which ones will become paid for? It's just so that we don't fill in large tranches of data during a trial that we then lose access to once the paid for element kicks in.
Yeah.
PS, this was a mammoth piece of work to develop. Very much appreciate being given access.
Yeah, perfect. So ideally, we are looking for you to buy a license. So the freemium version essentially is everything that you've seen there, but you can't download reports. There are things where you can't do, you can't create new risks or new requirements or new issues over and above what's been provided. So you can very much use the platform as it currently says on a freemium basis, which means currently our freemium is in perpetuity, so it doesn't have like a licensing timescale associated with it. And then, yes, if you actually really want to start using the platform for all the operational components that I've discussed, where you want to start creating new tasks and you want to start planning that out, you won't be, you'll run out of being able to add new tasks, and therefore you'll then need to buy the license for that. So at the moment in time, everything that you see, you can start using it. But if you want to then start creating new tasks and operationalizing it and downloading reports and things, that's when you need to buy the license for that. But the license also gives you access to the Keeping Children Safe in Education Toolkit, RSI Inspection, Academy Trust Handbook. There's all these other toolkits that you get for free. So,
okay, thanks, Mark. And there's one more question from Dave, which was, could you just clarify on the updates aspect? You said some DfE standards updates would only be in the paid version.
Yeah, so if we've got the if you're on the paid version and then the toolkit comes out, a new toolkit comes out, then you could essentially only, under the freemium version, you can only have one freemium toolkit. That's how we work. So you can choose that toolkit. If we update it, if the DfE update their standards, we won't be going around to everyone else who's got a freemium toolkit to say, here's the updated toolkit. It's free, here's the update. That will only go to paid for licenses.
Perfect. Okay, that's it. I think we've covered everything off in the Q&A there.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a really, really powerful tool. It's the purpose behind the platform is not just around the DfE standards, it's to really help you as a school or trust, manage the governance requirements that are required of you. The other thing that I'm going to say is that whilst we have the toolkit there for the DfE digital standards, we have a toolkit for network security, for email security, all these other toolkits that really allow you as a network manager to get access to expertise and supports that otherwise you may have to buy in an IT company for. So we are trying to, with our platform, is to really reduce the cost and the friction for IT staff in schools to get access to expertise to do their job and to do their job better and quicker. And so what I will say is anyone who's there using our platform, if you do choose to go ahead with it, we do take all of the feedback on board in terms of how it can be developed to make it better for our users, and so it can be more powerful and a greater productivity tool, which essentially at the end of the day that's what it is, as a productivity tool to make your lives easier, and to give you access to the expertise and knowledge that is needed to do the things that you guys need to do in your role. So with that, Rick, I think that's everything we have. Hopefully it's been useful for you, and hopefully it's been useful for your members.
There's one more question just come in that Jesse might not have seen yet. Does the tool allow for data portability for submitted data if we needed to import it into another project management tool?
Yeah, so you can export everything in a Excel file. So you can. I don't know, I've got my app open, extension. If I go into here, download. Yeah. So I can then download that.
Nice.
Just worth noting, Mark, that wouldn't be possible in the freemium access, though.
Yeah, that's there. Yeah, so essentially on the freemium ones, anything in blue essentially is highlighted out. You will see that. So that isn't available within the freemium version, unfortunately.
Okay, one more question as well. Is there any room for movement on the price or opportunity to trial the full platform on a trial basis? Nearly 2,000 per year per school is a huge investment, particularly if we cannot test this in advance. The cost.
Yeah, I think there is for multi-site schools, there is a complete discount structure. So in terms of the costing, so don't think that is £2,000 per school, because it's not. There's a significant discount structure on it, and I would just say have that conversation with the team, and the pricing for us obviously is our list price, is on our pricing set schedule, and then you'll just need to have that conversation with the team based upon your requirements as a school, your size, and the number of schools that you have who are seeking to use it. So.
Yeah, so I'll just add to that, Dave. Yeah, so I mean, I would start off with the freemium, start to experiment and see how it works for you. We can then offer a trial, which is a step beyond the freemium. So you do get access to more functionality. That would be for a time limited period though on the trial. And then if we get on with the trial, then we can talk about exactly how you want to deploy the app, how many schools there are in a trust, and then we can, as Mark said, we can basically give you access to a multi-site pricing model.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing to say with our platform is that the governance is one side of it. We do have the vendor, which is the pre-evaluated vendors when it comes to compliance and privacy, including cyber and safeguarding with everyone's contract that's been evaluated. So in terms of those negotiations, having access to, if you're interested in more of the products that we have, then there's that discussion to have on price with Jesse and the team. But this product solves not only the operational problems and challenges and productivity, but also on the compliance side. And we have a whole library of vendors who we have assessed for a GDPR, cybersecurity and safeguarding requirements. So that's just something else just to pique your interest. Excellent. Well, if there's no more questions.
Yep, it looks like we've exhausted the questions, which is always good. Thank you. Thank you not only for the demo and the webinar, but also making it available to ANME members, as people have said in the questions. It's a really powerful tool. I hadn't seen it before this webinar as well, so it is impressive. Thank you.
I think there's as a business, like I own the business. We're a bootstrap business, so we're not a private equity based business. We're about creating tools that really can help network managers. And the freemium version isn't necessarily a sales gimmick to get you using it and then to force you want to buy it. It's to support you in starting making some progress within your school that actually gives you more reasons to actually want to have greater functionality in using it. And we used to just do trials, and you have 14 days or 28 days for the trial, and then that becomes more of a hard sales pitch because there's a deadline. So the reason for the freemium, well, yes, the paid for license does have a cost, but the freemium is there because we want schools to be seeing value in using our technology in a way that supports them without feeling that there's suddenly the commercial pressure for them to have to buy a license.
Magic, I think that's everything now. So yeah. Thank you very much. We will be sharing the recording. We will be sharing the slides and some other follow-up information. Keep your eyes peeled on the portal for that. And I'm assuming all your contact detail, the relevant contact details, will be in that follow-up information as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, everybody.